Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, we hit the second last book of the Old Testament today, that of Zechariah, and an incredible prophet he is. It is set around about the return of the Israelites to Jerusalem from captivity. And he, together with Haggai, were the prophets who prophesied the rebuilding of Jerusalem. You remember Jeremiah had said that they would be in exile for 70 years. The 70 years were almost up. That's the dating of this book. And basically, Zechariah starts by saying, return to me. God, he's talking God's behalf, declares the Lord Almighty. If you return to me, I will return to you. Don't be like your ancestors now. 70 years is up. Time to come home. And this is what he says. He says, where are your ancestors? My word has outlived your ancestors. Beautiful phrase. Then what happens is he has 8 nighttime visions. They're dreams. They're dramatic, symbolic dreams that God uses to speak to him. Now, this is common in the Old Testament. Remember, Pharaoh had dreams. Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. Joseph had dreams. Many have dreams, and God uses dreams to speak. And so he has these 8 nighttime visions. We're going to handle 3 of them today. And amazing. So during the night, he says, I had a vision. And there before me was a man mounted on a horse. He was standing among the myrtle trees in a ravine. It's got this sinister look to it. And behind him were red, brown, and white horses. And so he's asking, what's the meaning of these horsemen? And basically, he's told they've gone throughout the earth. They represent God's watchfulness over the earth, and the whole earth is at peace. And he's basically saying, listen, the time is now for God to sort out those who punished Israel and to get Israel coming back. So the enemies are sort of lying there in peace, sipping their martinis, thinking everything's fine, and God's about to act. And he says, remember, I promised you that once again, there's going to be prosperity in Jerusalem. I'm going to comfort those in Zion, and those who came up against me, their time is short. And then it moves on to the second vision. And he sees these 4 horns. Now, these 4 horns, we told, represent the 4 nations that have been persecuting Israel. And then he sees a blacksmith come and sort out those horns, obliterate them. And he understands that God is about to send judgment on those who judged Israel. And so that's his second dream. But the third dream, which is the fascinating one today, he looked up and there in Zechariah 2, he sees a man standing with a measuring line in his hand. Now, clearly this is an angelic being. Some believe it's the angel of the Lord. And, he's asked, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to measure Jerusalem. I want to know how long and how wide it is. He seems like he's concerned that there's going to be enough space for all the people God's going to bring into it. And then another angel says, quickly run, go tell that young man. Jerusalem, in other words, the city of God, is not going to be a walled city, because he says, I myself am going to be the wall around it. I'm going to be the glory within it. And he says, look, it's going to be a city without walls. Now quite clearly, God is speaking about Jerusalem being rebuilt, but he's also speaking about the future messianic kingdom. Now remember, that's the nature of prophecy, isn't it? That it speaks now and into the future. So Jerusalem is a picture of the church, and the freedom that God gives now is a picture of the freedom we get then. And then he says this, whoever touches your eye, whoever touches you is like touching the apple of my eye. God said, I'm jealously guarding my people now. So shout and be glad, daughter of Zion. That's the people of God. For I'm coming and I will live among you. Many nations will be joined to the Lord on that day. A beautiful picture of Jesus. Jesus saying, I'm coming to live among you, and I'm going to include many nations. They're going to be joined. That's always been God's heart. God's heart has never been just to have one isolated people living in utopia in a corner of the planet. No, that through that community, he's going to reach the world, and the world comes into relationship with him.